Virgo, there is someone who cannot ask you a direct question, not because they do not want the answer, because they are terrified of it. Because the answer to the question they are actually carrying, the real one, underneath all the surface behavior and the careful distance and whatever version of things they have been presenting to the world, has the power to either give them back something they threw away or confirm permanently that it is gone. So they are not asking directly, they are doing something else entirely. They are watching, reading everything available to them about where you are and how you are, and whether there is anything left in the way you move through your life that suggests the door is still open, even slightly. Looking for evidence of something they do not have the courage to ask for outright, hoping, in the private and somewhat desperate way of someone who has understood too late what they did, that you still care, that despite everything, you still care. Stay with me, because what I am about to walk you through changes how you see this entire situation. Let me start with the sabotage, because it deserves to be called what it was. Something happened between you and this person that did not happen accidentally. I want to be clear about that. Whatever the specific shape of it, whatever form the undoing of things between you took, there was a hand in it, a choice, a series of choices, possibly, made by someone who was operating from a place inside themselves that they have since had to reckon with honestly, and that reckoning has not been comfortable. They did something, or they failed to do something, or they created a situation deliberately or through the specific carelessness of someone who was not yet taking seriously the thing they were risking that broke what was being built between you. And then they watched it break. And something in them believed in the moment or shortly after that the breaking was manageable, that the distance it created was something they could live with, that whatever they were protecting or chasing or choosing instead was worth the cost. It was not worth the cost. They know that now with the specific, irreversible clarity of someone who has been on the other side of their own decision long enough to see exactly what it has cost them, long enough to stop telling themselves comfortable stories about why it was necessary or inevitable or ultimately for the best. It was not for the best. It was a mistake dressed up as a choice. And the person who made it is now living inside the consequences of it while secretly, privately, in the part of themselves they share with no one, hoping that you have not yet fully closed the door. Here is what secretly hoping actually looks like in practice. Because secretly hoping is not passive, it is not someone sitting quietly in the background with a vague wish that things were different. It has a specific behavior pattern that I feel clearly in this person's energy and that I want to name so you can recognize it for what it is rather than for the various other things it might appear to be on the surface. They are present, not directly, not in ways that would require them to be vulnerable or accountable or to actually put themselves in a position where your response to them has any power over them, but present in the peripheral ways, the ways that maintain proximity without requiring honesty, watching from the edges, keeping themselves in a position where information about you is available to them while they decide what to do with the information. They check what you are doing, how you seem, whether there are signs of you having moved on in ways that would make the question they are not asking yet feel finally and completely pointless. They are looking for signs in the opposite direction too. Signs that something remains, that the care they are hoping you still have has not been entirely replaced by something else. They notice everything with the specific heightened attention of someone who is trying to read a situation they no longer have direct access to, who has to piece together the picture from whatever fragments are available rather than from the direct, honest communication that their own actions made impossible. They made the communication impossible, and now they are suffering the specific consequence of that, which is having to wonder about something they could have known directly if they had behaved differently. There is guilt in this person's energy, real guilt, not the surface performance of guilt that some people use to avoid actual accountability, the kind that lives in the body, the kind that arrives in quiet moments and does not leave when you try to redirect your attention somewhere else, the kind that has been sitting with them since they understood what they did and what it cost and what it has continued to cost every day since. They have been carrying it without telling anyone the full weight of it. Because telling someone the full weight of it would require explaining what they did to create it, would require being honest about the specific choices they made and the specific ways those choices were not accidental, would require admitting something about themselves in this situation that is not flattering and that they have not yet found a way to say out loud without flinching. So the guilt stays internal, managed, contained, but present, always present, coloring things, making certain kinds of ordinary happiness feel slightly unavailable, creating a low hum of something unresolved that follows them through their days and gets louder in the quiet. The quiet is the hardest. In the quiet, there is nothing between them and the honest accounting of what happened, of what they chose, of who you were in their life, and what the deliberate or careless dismantling of that meant and continues to mean. You are in their quiet. Every time the noise stops, there you are. Let me tell you what they are hoping you feel, not what they deserve you to feel, not what would be convenient for them for you to feel. What they are actually hoping in the raw, unfiltered honesty of their private hoping that still exists somewhere in you. They are hoping you still think about them, that the care you had, the real care, the specific quality of attention and warmth and genuine investment that you brought to whatever was between you, did not disappear completely when things fell apart. That something of it remained, not necessarily in its original form, not necessarily as something active or pursuing or even openly acknowledged, just present. The way certain things remain present in a person even when the situation that produced them is over. They are hoping for remaining. And underneath that, at a level they have not quite been able to be fully honest with themselves about, they are hoping for something more than a remaining. They are hoping for a chance, not stated, not asked for directly, because asking for it directly would require an honesty about what they did that they are still building toward, but hoped for, in the way that people hope for things they do not feel they have the right to ask for but cannot stop wanting. A chance to show you that the person who sabotaged things is not the only version of who they are, that there is more to them than the worst choice they made, that the thing they broke might not be beyond repair if you were willing to let them try. Does something in you recognize this? Not the story as I am telling it necessarily, but the energy of it, the specific feeling of someone hovering at the edge of your awareness without fully entering it. Someone present in the peripheral way I described. Someone who's hoping you have perhaps been feeling without having the clear picture of what exactly they are hoping for. Tell me in the comments if this is landing somewhere specific. Tell me if there is a face that came to your mind when I started describing the sabotage. Because I think many of you came to this reading today already knowing which person this is about. You just needed someone to confirm what your own perception has been trying to tell you. Now, I need to say something important. The hoping does not obligate you. I want to be very direct about that. The fact that someone secretly hopes you still care, even someone who sabotaged something real between you and has been living with the weight of that ever since, does not create a debt that you owe them. Does not mean you are required to open a door that you may have had very good reasons for closing. Does not mean that their readiness to possibly try again overrides your own sense of what is right for you and what you want and what you are genuinely willing to entertain. Your feelings are not a resource that exists for the purpose of someone else's redemption. The care you had, whatever remains of it, belongs to you. You get to decide what to do with it, not based on what they are hoping or what their guilt suggests they deserve another chance to do differently, based on what you actually want, based on your own honest assessment of what happened and who this person showed themselves to be when they made the choices they made, and whether what you know about them makes the risk of another chance something that makes sense for you. That is the only relevant calculation here, not their hoping, yours. Let me speak to what the sabotage actually revealed, because this is important, and I do not want to pass over it in the rush to talk about what might happen next. What happened, whatever the specific form of it, showed you something about this person, something that existed in them before the sabotage and that the sabotage made visible. A pattern or a fear or a way of operating under pressure or a limit in their capacity to protect something they valued when protecting it required something difficult of them. That thing was real. It was not a temporary aberration that exists in isolation from who they are. It was them under specific conditions making a specific kind of choice. The question is not whether they regret it. They do. The question is whether what they have done with the regret has addressed the thing that produced the choice. Whether the guilt has been converted into genuine understanding of why it happened and what would need to be different. Whether they have done more than feel bad about the outcome and have actually done the harder work of looking at the interior mechanism that produced it. Some people do that work. Some people stay at the level of outcome regret without ever getting to mechanism understanding. Your discernment will know the difference when you are in the presence of this person again. It will feel different in the body. The person who has done real work has a different quality of presence than the person who has only felt bad about results. There is a groundedness in the former that the latter lacks. A specific kind of accountability that does not perform itself but simply exists in how someone talks about what happened and what they understand about it. Watch for that. Something I have been feeling throughout this entire reading that I want to name before we get to the close. You have not been as indifferent as you have perhaps appeared. Not to them necessarily, to yourself. In the private, honest accounting of where you actually are with this, the real version rather than the managed version you present to the world and sometimes even to yourself, there is more than you always let yourself acknowledge. Not longing necessarily, not the active present tense desire for something to resume, but something, the specific, not quite finished quality of something that was real and ended badly rather than ended completely. The awareness that what existed between you before whatever happened that dismantled it had genuine substance was not nothing, was not easily replaced or forgotten or fully integrated into the past tense of your history. You have not been indifferent. You have been protecting yourself from the full weight of not being indifferent, which is intelligent, which is what you do, which is the specific Virgo self protective grace of someone who knows that full exposure of what you feel is only appropriate when the situation has earned it. This situation has not fully earned it yet, but it may be approaching the point where something becomes possible. And knowing that you are not as closed as you have appeared is useful information, not to give to them, to have for yourself, so that when whatever comes next arrives, you are not performing indifference you do not entirely feel, while simultaneously being unable to access the actual feeling that is present underneath it. You are allowed to know what is actually there, even before you decide what to do with it. Here is where I feel things are moving. The secret hoping is building towards something, cannot stay secret indefinitely. Hoping of this quality and this consistency has a momentum to it, a pressure that increases over time rather than decreasing. That makes the continued silence feel more costly than the vulnerability of breaking it. This person is approaching the moment where the silence costs more than speaking. They are not there yet, but they are close. And when they get there, when the weight of the unsaid finally exceeds the protection of not saying it, what comes forward is going to have the quality of something that has been held for a long time, that has been examined and re examined and arrived at through a genuine process rather than a reactive impulse. It will not be perfect, it will be real. And real from this person toward you, carrying everything that has happened between you and everything they have understood since, is worth something. Whether it is worth enough, whether it is worth the specific risk of opening something that closing cost you something to close. Only you can answer that. But I want you to go into that answer with full information, with the knowledge that what they feel is genuine, that the hoping is real, that the regret has been doing actual work on them in the time since, and that the person who may come toward you when the silence finally breaks is not identical to the person who sabotaged things. Close to, related to, recognizable as, but not identical. People change in the space of genuine consequence. Some of them, this one has, whether that change is enough is the question. Only your presence in the same space as them will answer fully. No reading can do that work. No amount of energetic information from a distance can substitute for your own direct perception of who this person actually is now versus who they were then. Trust your direct perception when the moment comes. It has never failed you, even when you wished it would. Leave something in the comments today. Tell me if this person came to your mind immediately. Tell me how long you have been carrying this particular situation. Tell me what is sitting in you right now after hearing this. I read every word, every time. Until next time, Virgo, someone is hoping you still care. Whether you do and what you do with it is yours, completely, as it always has been,